This is Nick Langan with you on Villanova's V89.1 The Roar. If you're listening over the air or on demand at our podcast feed, wherever you listen to podcasts. And also we're streaming this will be available in video version on YouTube as well. Really excited to have with me today Patricia and Orlando. They make up the husband-wife duo of Minas, making wonderful Brazilian bossa nova style jazz. Have been doing it since the late 1970s. I encourage you to check out a conversation I had. They performed on our Villanova campus back at the end of September. Just an awesome show inside the Topper Theater at the Mullins Center. We detailed how they came together, their roots, as well as some of the initiatives that they've been actively doing here in the Delaware Valley, supporting music, the Brazilian Adventure Program. Today, though, we're going to talk to Patricia and Orlando about their upcoming concert performance right here in the main line on April 14th, next Friday. They'll be performing at the Living Room and Cricket Cafe in Ardmore, their Beatles in Bossa album. Really excited to be talking about it today. Orlando, Patricia, welcome. How are you both doing?
We're wonderful. Spring is here.
How are you? Thumbs up.
I am doing fantastic. Spring weather, it just my mood improves tenfold once you start to get things blooming and can have the windows open. So I can't complain at all. How has life been for both of you since you performed on Villanova's campus back in September? How's your last couple of months been?
Well, the exciting thing is after a number of performances, we took a 6-week trip to Brazil.
Ooh.
And we traveled through Minas, which is the name of our group, which is a state of Brazil that's very colonial, a lot of farmlands and family. And we spent some time in Rio de Janeiro as well. So we came back with a lot of inspiration and 100 degrees weather. So, it was really wonderful to get that break from winter.
And we got back to a lot of gigs, and this is one of the interesting gigs we're doing. We're also doing Mother's Day brunch at the City Winery in Philadelphia, coming up in May 14th, a month later. So the 14th of April will be in Ardmore at the Living Room and Cricket Cafe. And a month later we'll be at the City Winery, a new venue in Philadelphia. I'm not sure you've heard of it, right?
I have not checked it out, but I have heard of shows happening there. That's excellent. That's excellent. And right on Mother's Day, what a wonderful occasion. That's excellent. That's excellent. And great to hear of getting down to what a great wintertime getaway to get back down there. Not your first time, I assume, since the pandemic, or is it? Wow.
Yes, we haven't been there. That's why we took a long trip.
Oh, that is, wow, what a great, that had to be, the long time coming, just sort of a reunion of sort for both of you.
Yeah,
it was.
great.
We hadn't seen family and friends for 4 years.
That's wow. That's that the pandemic, sort of, again, all the things we took for granted, and in music, I think, it very much showed, but it also gave birth to a lot of creativity too, with people sort of cooped up, some great things being made. But that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, what's particularly exciting about, I think, this upcoming show, is the opportunity for you both to perform the music from the Beatles and Bossa project, which I know hit the top Latin jazz album chart on Roots Music Report last July, and was among the top 10 Latin jazz albums of 2022, which is, congratulations, extremely exciting. Can you take us through just how the concept for this album came about?
Well, Orlando came up with the concept. We were presenting a show at World Cafe, and he said, why don't we do the Beatles with different rhythms? And so we thought it was a great idea, and we had made a trip out to the West Coast to see the eclipse. And then we were in the car a lot, and we started running through all these songs and, playing percussion on the car dashboard and singing through all these rhythms that, would work with the songs that we were choosing. And so it just almost came effortlessly. It just was a great marriage of the concept of Brazilian rhythms with Beatles music.
Right. So I grew up as a Beatles fan, and I knew a lot of their music, and I learned to speak English singing Beatles songs. And that same it is true for Patricia because she was
Wow.
singing bossa nova songs and learned Portuguese by singing, Brazilian bossa nova songs.
Music, the language, is sort of indoctrinated, but I could see that the lyrics, thinking from a Beatles perspective, some of their just so powerful, so connecting. So for Orlando, that was really like your gateway to English. Would you say?
It really
Wow.
was. And that's what inspired me to be a musician and also come to America and study music and pursue a career in music. So the Beatles have been a great influence, throughout my life. I had the luck to be alive during that time, and be a teenager.
It's amazing. At WXVU, we get to work with, I guess what would be categorized as Gen Z, obviously, current students enrolled in undergrad programs 18 to 22. And the shows that they get to do on WXVU, often reflect their tastes and frankly are sometimes artists I've never heard of. But I'm always shocked, and this semester even more so. I'd say we have about 5 or 6 shows. We have 24 different student programmed shows in all.
Mhm.
And they have to submit through our music team these songs they want to play on their show each week, and we go and source them. The Beatles are, I'd say, among the topping, and these are, 18 to 22-year-olds. Maybe it's their
Uh-huh.
backgrounds, maybe it's how they've grown up, listen, influenced by their parents, whatever. It's still, you can take a look at our WXVU computer. We have a lot of Beatles songs in there. So would you say there's just that timeless element too, that sort of makes their music so attractive?
Absolutely. And it's so creative and it's such good quality and it's so diverse as well.
Well, I think, they were so youthful and rebellious and just things that are relevant today, the things that they were singing about.
Yes.
And that's something we really realized when we did the show and we were working with the lyrics. And we said, these lyrics are relevant to this time. So they're timeless.
I think that is so true. I think there's a lot of causes now that I think speak to, again, whether it's Gen Z or, really any generation, but I think it connects. And I think that, and it's sort of, time is a flat circle or time, some of the things that we were dealing with then, very much are prominent now. We're just so the lyrics, the music. Did you both find, were there particular songs in their catalog that were more receptive to a bossa nova flavor than others? How about translating their music into the bossa nova jazz sound? Talk about that a little bit.
So Patricia mentioned that we were going to see this eclipse in Oregon, and that was in 2017.
I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
So we were in the car for 4 hours traveling inland, traveling east um, from the airport. And we were just beating on and thinking about this show. I said, how about this song? How about, for example, Come Together, that has that, da-na, da-na, da-na. And I said, wow, that sounds like a samba beat called Partido Alto, which goes like this. Dun, 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 da, you, So it felt so perfect. And then
Synonymous.
that,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's one
Well,
example.
we found that almost all the music could translate, on the foundation of Brazilian rhythms. It was very easy to mold the form and the rhythms, whether they have a thing called when you augment phrases, it means you play your phrases longer. And, we just played with phrasing, we played with,
Sure.
which really made it very malleable, to put the project together.
That's and I wonder too, you think about timing, like, the early 60s, Jobim, the girl from Ipanema. So, obviously the Beatles had an inherently different sound, but timing wise, it all, only a few years removed from the advent of bossa nova. So maybe the rhythms, it just sort of lend itself to, I like that word malleable, melding it all together. So that's really cool. We're talking with Orlando and Patricia, the husband and wife duo Minas, making fine Brazilian jazz. They'll be performing Friday, April 14th, the Living Room and Cricket Cafe, right here in the main line in Ardmore. Their Beatles in Bossa album. And should also mention, very cool, as part of this show, Phil Nicolo, who's on the board of governors for the Philadelphia chapter of the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences. And he's been nominated for 4 Grammy Awards for mixing and mastering, and including one that he won for the Spanish Harlem Orchestra. He's going to be giving a pre-show presentation on the Beatles, and as you both just revealed before we started, he'll actually be mixing your show that evening at the
Right.
Living Room and Cricket Cafe. Can you talk about Phil a little bit?
Sure. We met Phil a long time ago and didn't see him for a long time. And then when we approached him to ask him to master our album, and he accepted, we went into his studio, and I remembered that since the 80s when we visited his studio, there were Beatles photos everywhere. Phil is a really a
He
fan.
knows his, yeah, yeah.
He knows all this information,
And he's recorded the Beatles, and he's, knows Yoko Ono. So he's just very deep into the music.
right. So we were so excited that he mastered our album, and he's going to be mixing it and also presenting he has a show that he created that he presents in different venues. It's a Beatles
Wow.
audiovisual presentation, and he talks about different songs. He slows them down, he speeds them up, he plays and shows you how this fits here and there. Very, very interesting. I think people are going to really enjoy that.
That is, obviously, if you're a fan of jazz, of bossa nova, you want to check this out. But if you're a fan of the Beatles, and if you grew up, if you just, again, or maybe like in our case at WXVU, you came afterward, but their music, that is going to be so cool. Seeing this presentation and then hearing the Beatles music redone bossa nova style, and again mixed by Phil, and and definitely, as you mentioned, Orlando, the fact that he mixed your Beatles and Bossa album in the first place, that's fantastic. Really exciting stuff. And I should also mention, so your whole sextet will be doing this show, including our own. I'll say he's our own Andrew New, saxophone extraordinaire, who hosts a WXVU show every Saturday at 11 a.m. Talk about the band and performing in this venue. How much you're looking forward to that?
Go ahead.
Well, our drummer Tom Cohen has performed with us for years. Really knows all the types of Brazilian rhythms. We have Jim Stager. Also, we've been together for years. John Swana, we're featuring on soloing. He's wonderful. He brought that sort of psychedelic sort of nuance to the music of the 60s and, the kinds of sounds that were on the albums. And we have also Andrew, of course, who's just an amazing soloist and arranger. So, and we've played with these guys for almost 30 years. So we have a sound that is ours. And I think what we were able to do was to take the Beatles music and give it our own interpretation. So you're not just doing something that but it's transporting you to a different feel. And I like to say that we shined a little bit of sun on the Beatles with the tropical rhythms of Brazil.
Right.
Very well put. Here comes the sun, indeed, as you might say.
Yeah.
That we arranged. So we arranged the music, giving it a completely different twist, but it's still Here Comes the Sun and Within You, Without You, or let's see some of the tracks.
Day Tripper.
Norwegian Wood, In My Life, She Loves You. We did it as a ballad.
Wow.
It came out really, really nice with the flugelhorn sound and Blackbird, Come Together, Eleanor Rigby, etc. There are 14 tracks.
And for our audience watching on YouTube, you have the Beatles and Bossa record right there. Hold that beautiful cover up if you can. Wow, what a that is so cool.
That's Rio de Janeiro with the mountains in the back of the ocean, and there's lots of people on the beach, and there's percussion instruments.
Wow.
Double album. It's double. So we've got this side, and we've got this side. So there's a lot of music in there.
Yeah, and this is the vinyl that she's showing, right? Let's take it out.
Yeah, the genuine Orlando holding up the vinyl record. Oh, that is so cool. We do have, for the record, we still do have a vinyl record player in the WXVU studio as well. So doesn't get much use these days, but we keep it, we make sure it's taken care of. So, but that's fantastic. That had to be such a display of pride for you both for that whole album to come together. And I think you also, as you sort of hinted, this is sort of a rare performance that this show, I guess inherently that this show will be all Beatles and Bossa, not something that you normally would be doing or probably plan on doing. Is that correct as well?
Well, we've done the show several times, and we have done it at World Cafe Live a few times. We did it downstairs in the big room for the release, and we've presented it in festivals, and we're moving on to different shows at the time. And so this show is going to be one of the last Beatles in Bossa we're going to do for a while, at least promoted by us.
And it will be in a very intimate setting, which is nice. People are going to really be able to see and hear musicians up close.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about more. So the venue, again, right here in the main line, the Living Room and Cricket Cafe, that's at 104 Cricket Avenue in Ardmore. Again, next Friday, April 14th. You both have performed there before. It's actually moved. It used to be located right on Lancaster Avenue. Now they've moved into a larger space, seats about a little over 100. But talk about what the folks have to look forward to check out this show, the type of venue.
Well, they can come for dinner because they have a cafe, and the cafe is open until 9:30, so they can have a meal before. And it's BYOB, so they can bring their own. And what else? I guess Phil is going to open the show at 8 o'clock with his presentation. It will probably last about 45 minutes. And then around 9 o'clock, we'll play the entire album from beginning to end.
And it will be with the original musicians that recorded the album. So you're going to see the exact product that was recorded.
That's great. Organic, authentic. The way music really was meant to be heard, and a really cool venue that is, again, from our vantage point, so close to the Villanova community, very conveniently located. That's fantastic. Again, check it out, the Living Room and Cricket Cafe in Ardmore. Orlando and Patricia, so you mentioned the Mother's Day show in Philadelphia. What else is on the docket late spring into summer? Is there anything that you both are particularly looking forward to performing at, or any other plans of note? I'd love to hear about them.
Well, we have a lot of gigs lined up. We're going to be at Rose Tree Park in Media. That's a free concert.
The full band.
The full band's going to perform there in July. We're also going to be at Penn State at the main campus. They have a festival called something Festival of the Arts. I forget the name exactly. We're going to be performing there.
Deerhead Inn, which is one of the oldest jazz houses.
That's right. The Deerhead will be in June.
Wonderful, very intimate place.
That's up in the Poconos. I can tell you that date.
It's a wonderful jazz
when
club.
The Deerhead is. So the Deerhead Inn is on June 24th.
Very nice, very nice. That's
I encourage folks to check out our website at minasmusic.com. That's MINAS music.com /calendar, and then we post all the public gigs we're going to be doing.
Fantastic. No, that is and a nice variety of events right around here as well. Definitely the Rose Tree Park show, minasmusic.com to follow Orlando and Patricia. Well, it's been so great having you both talk about the performance, and WXVU. We're so happy to have you part of the community. So this show sounds fantastic. Any final thoughts before?
I guess we were going to give some tickets on the air, right?
We will. We have a giveaway that will be announcing the winner for. We'll be distributing it through a couple different channels, but 2 tickets to the show at the Living Room and Cricket Cafe. So that we thank you both so much for coordinating, and I expect a lot of buzz from that. And it's so cool for the Villanova community. Again, music that I think not only fans of the Beatles would appreciate, but just fans of jazz in general, and trying to cultivate that. So we will announce the winner and select the contestant, and get that to you both probably at the end of the week here. So good stuff. Orlando, Patricia, thank you so much again. Tickets available, livingroomardmore.com. Friday, April 14th, doors open at 7, show opens at 8 or starts at 8. And we believe the cafe open until 9:30 or so. So get a great meal, enjoy great music at the Living Room and Cricket Cafe in Ardmore. Thank you both again so much for joining me.
Thanks so much for having us. Wonderful to see you and hear you again.